Okay, so let's continue with our understanding of this poem, Ayodhya Vasi Ram. The second phrase is Dasharath-Nandan-Rām, and the literal meaning is Ram, the source of pleasure, is the son, Nandan, of Dasharath. Now, Dasharath was a king who had no children and turned to penance and prayer to fulfill his desire. Eventually, divinity came to him in the form of 4 sons. The eldest, being the source of much happiness for Dasharath, was named Ram, for Ram means this, the source of bliss. So then, who is Dasharath? What might he represent for us? Is there a significance to his name? And what could we unlock with this understanding to enrich our own lives? So I'll be using the Yoga Sutras, the power of metaphor, and some teachings from the Bhagavad Gita as a basis for my elaboration. And so I hope you enjoy it. So Dasharath represents the person who has everything worldly, but still hankers for a deeper sense of happiness. Ram, being born to Dasharath, gave him immense joy. So then for those of us who want joy also, a non-worldly divine type of happiness and joy to enter our lives, we can look at the story of Dasharath and the symbolism around what he represents. Certainly there is happiness that achievements and accolades bring, but a deeper happiness exists, a fulfillment, a satisfaction and bliss which can remain untapped. So the key to unlocking the secret lies in understanding the king's name. In Sanskrit, Dasha means 10 and Rath means chariot, and can be a metaphor for our very own selves. We could say that our body is like a chariot, a Rath, that has 10 instruments that help us investigate, interact and integrate with the world. These 10 instruments are called Indriyas in Sanskrit, and in English they are called senses. Now, the Vedic world divides these 10 senses into 2 categories. One category is the 5 knowledge acquiring senses called the Gyan Indriyas, which are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue and skin, and they help us to download and explore the world. Then there are the 5 senses called the Kam Indriyas, that's the other category. And these are the working senses, the ways that we speak, collect, travel, procreate, excrete. These are the 5 working senses. So these 10 senses are like 10 horses for the chariot of our body. And if unbridled, they can be like wild horses that pull us here, there and everywhere and get us lost, intoxicated by the allurements of this world. And in this process of losing ourselves in the forest of this material atmosphere, we forget what is important. We forget to turn inwards and nourish ourselves, and losing connection, we might neglect important relationships in our lives. We might even abandon our core needs and our responsibilities. Ultimately, our hearts can become so overfilled and cluttered with useless desires that there's no room for divinity. Now, above the 10 senses is the 11th higher sense, which is the mind. So it is important that we befriend the mind so it doesn't sabotage us like an enemy would. So then if you sense that your senses are running wild, then you can turn to a yoga process to start taking back control. So looking at the Yoga Sutras, there are 8 stages in a process called Ashtanga Yoga. So the first 4 stages of the Ashtanga Yoga process prepare us for a turning point in the 5th stage, which is known as Pratyahara. Pratyahara is this withdrawing of our attention from the world, bringing it inwards, just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs into its shell. This is where the magic can begin, and this is the turning point. So, as Dasharath took control of his 10 senses and became eligible for Ram to enter his life, we can also come to this stage if we control our Dasharath, this chariot of the 10 instruments, decluttering our mind of unnecessary desires to make room for divinity to enter our hearts, and the rest depends on grace. So I wish you well in harnessing these horses to make space for divinity to enter your life also. Peace, ink stains for your brain.